I'm leading the show. Boom. Perfect.
Bada boom.
Bada bing. Bada climate change things.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, climate change is like, duh. You know what I'm saying? If you haven't heard it by now, you might be Patrick. And it's just like one of those things where I'm just kind of like, I have so many differences. I have so many differences in opinion because it's just kind of like, on one hand, I get it, bro. I want to live here too. I want my great grandkids to live here too. Right? But do we have all the facts? What's going on? What's your opinion with climate change?
So my opinion is obviously that it's happening. I don't think it's a hoax or anything crazy like that. But I think that we really don't have as much information as we need to get a grasp on how big the problem is. I think that obviously all the cars that we're driving around and putting emissions into the air, that's doing something, whether that be raising the temperature drastically or whether that be just putting pollutants in the water and trees and stuff.
Whatever you do, it's got to have an effect.
Yeah, exactly.
To say that cars have no effect is kind of stupid, right? Because like anything
equal and opposite
you do,
reaction, right?
Anything you do
has an effect, yeah. And especially to the scale at which we drive gasoline cars. I mean, everyone in the world pumping out emissions from our cars. So that's got to be doing something to our world. It's got to be in a way.
It's got to be.
But I think that the way that the earth works is that it's constantly fighting our pollutants. So I think that it has a really great recycling, I don't know how to say it, like it just recycles everything on the planet basically and re-cleans itself.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's slowing it down, but we're pushing the pushing the envelope.
We're pushing the limit a little bit.
We're pushing the envelope a little bit on this. And I think it would be great if we could make tons of eco-friendly changes like windmills, geothermal energy, all that stuff. Because first of all, why not?
Why not, right?
And second of all, I mean, if we could set up a big enough infrastructure, we wouldn't need gas or coal, right?
Right. So for me, when it comes to climate change, right, like I would love to sit here and be like, oh my God, bro, we need to stop this right away. But are you going to stop driving right away, bro?
Exactly.
Are you going to be the first one to be like, this has got to stop right now?
I'm
and
bicycling only.
Bro, you say you're for the planet, but you still went on that tour after high school of Europe on that jet.
And you caught a
plane, bro.
A plane.
Son, that plane, straight injection to the ecosystem. You know what I'm saying?
And it's right up there next to the ozone too.
You're like, yo, I don't eat animals, but I need soya. I need soya beans and almonds. We're taking out the Amazon. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I mean, like, I feel better about it. You know, climate change is one of these things where it's dangerous because I kind of feel like people use it as some type of social high horse. It's just another one of these isms where people seek the opportunity to better themselves outwardly in like the social media realm instead of doing something that's actually impactful. You know what I'm saying? Like people living under $1 a day are doing more for this planet than any vegan in the United States.
Yes.
Say I'm wrong. Anytime, anywhere, bro.
No, I couldn't tell you you're wrong. I mean, if you're living on $1 a day somewhere in a third world country, you're
saving the planet, bro.
You're not driving a car and you're eating healthy and you're living off the land.
Yo, hot take. North Korea is saving the planet, though. Yo, they're. You know what I'm saying? You ever see the satellite view of North Korea?
It's just because they're killing everyone off, bro. There's less people polluting.
So that's what scares me about climate change, bro. Because people who are in charge, right? People who feel like they know what to do better than you. Maybe they're out there like, yo, you know what? Maybe North Korea onto something. maybe we need to stamp.
Didn't Donald Trump have a sit down with the Kim Jong himself?
He sure did.
Yikes.
You know, but I mean, he's out now. But my point is, maybe they're like, you know what, Kim Jong onto something right now. Maybe we're gonna slap climate change with a nice new little face called the Great Reset and be like, yo, we're gonna Thanos everybody.
Oh no!
For the sake of the planet. I'm not saying that it's right, or like, I get where people are coming from when they say, like, you know what, we need to change, we need to make changes, you know what I'm saying? But I just feel like we don't have, sometimes I just feel like we don't have all the facts. And my biggest fear with climate change is that we're just gonna use it as another form of just like socially higher upping one another on a grand scheme. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I do. And you know what, I can agree with you for sure on that take, because I think that unless you're in the line of work, like unless you're a climate change professional, like your job is going around and trying to pass legislation and or promote healthy environmental things towards big companies and stuff like that, I think that you can say that you're with fighting climate change, but I don't think that you should be posting about it on the regular and constantly. Like, either do something about it or shut up, like, in my opinion.
And even if you do something about it, you don't have to demonize somebody else because of whatever they got going on.
Right.
Because my biggest fear when it comes to this is we need to be realistic, right? Because, okay, so climate change is a real thing, but jobs and economy is also a real thing. So what is the balance, right? Because somebody who cares about climate change is out here like, yo, everything needs to stop, like right now, ASAP. But then you got somebody in the oil fields, right? Or somebody in the car manufacturing company who's like, yo, what about me? What about me and my kids? You're just saying, fuck me, right? Screw my kids. You don't want my kids to eat? Right? So I just want to know, like, what is the balance? And I ask myself that constantly. What do you think is the balance?
That's a good one. I think a healthy balance would be trying to pull back on like such industry standard of polluting things. Like, everyone drives a car. Not everyone needs to have a car. Maybe like one car per family, or like, I don't know, start using the bus, improve our bus systems. I'm targeting you, Honolulu. Please make the buses better. Please.
How much does I'm attacking Hawaii face to face on this one? How much taxes do Hawaii people pay on Oahu specifically? And y'all just got a train, son?
Just barely.
Y'all just got a train?
And
the roads are trash?
And let's talk about the fact that it's an hour to drive into town with a car, and it's 3 hours to get there via bus.
So it's like on one end, you're like, yo, we love them solar panels. But on the other end, we're going to force your hand to have a car on this island. And I feel like that's all that double standard when it comes to climate change. Is kind of like you first. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna talk about it to make me look good, but I want you to do it first. I don't want me to do it. No, not me. Somebody else. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the people who are really making the change in climate change are the people that you will never ever hear about. The people who are unfortunately living in these places that don't have the same accessibilities, the same first world privileges that we do, right? So we're all jumping up and down about climate change, but let's be freaking honest. We are all dirtbags. If you live in the United States, you are a climate change dirtbag.
That's true. And I think that I'm not sure if this is fact, but I heard it somewhere that we're the least efficient in terms of energy and stuff. Like, we produce the most pollutants, we pump out the most emissions, et cetera, because we're America.
Because we're America, and that sounds good, right? Because America always seems to be the target of everything, and we always seem to be the bad guy. But my biggest fear is actually not necessarily the United States, but it's like another up and coming nations that just got their hands on that new wealth. You know what I'm saying? Like, the United States has had their hands in wealth for some times. So now we're like backing down a little bit. We're trying to rewind the clock, so to speak. But you got to look at these up and coming people who don't give a shit about the climate. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Like we could do anything that we want to do here in the United States, but climate change isn't just one thing. It's not one entity, right? So that's like me. All right. So perfect example, right? I grew up in New York City. Everyone got cockroaches. Everyone got cockroaches, right? Doesn't matter how clean you are, bro. The whole city is freaking dirty. So it's just kind of like, that's how I see the United States, right? No matter what we do, it doesn't matter, because if the other half of the world is being dirty, then what are we gonna do really?
Right. And that's the problem. That's why they had that big the big summit or whatever about climate change, because just one nation suddenly going eco-friendly is not gonna put a dent in what we're doing to the ecosystem.
Not at all.
Because the way that we've made technology unintentionally hurts the environment, but now that's all we've got, right? We're dependent on these things. Like we can't function as a society without cars. In America, we still use semi-trucks to get everywhere. Semi-trucks like take all of our cargo, everything you get from Walmart, everything you get from Sam's Club, Smith's, wherever your local store is.
And you don't want those prices to go up.
You don't.
And
suddenly making a switch to an electric semi-truck, come on. But we're going to have stops every 30 minutes for a big vehicle to get that much electricity into it. You know what I'm saying?
But even if we have electronic vehicles, realistically, there's still that power company, right? That is making the vehicle in the first place, right? The components to make that vehicle in the first freaking place.
Yeah, and how are we going to change all those things? How are we going to change the factory that builds the cars?
You know what I'm saying?
We would have to change everything.
But that is the point. I think that with climate change, it needs to be, I feel like we're pussyfooting around climate change. I kind of feel like we're not necessarily ready to do the real things that's necessary in order to make real climate change. Like if we're really for real about what it's going to be in 100 years, we need to start like making super sacrifices right now. But the thing is no one's going to, because we feel so comfortable sitting here and making ourselves feel good by saying good things now. Like I put a windmill up and I felt like I did something, right? But realistically, is that doing something? I mean, like on the grand scheme of things, is that really doing something? Now, it might look like you're doing something. It might look like you're doing a lot at the time. But I just feel like humanity really isn't ready for like that next step. And I mean, I'm going to be honest. Do I know what that next step is either? No. I freaking turn my lights on without even thinking about it, right? Am I really ready for that next step? You know what I'm saying?
You want to hear my theory?
What's up?
My theory is that from how lazy we are now, just as people, like across the board, everyone in the world, we're probably not going to make that much of a change towards the climate. And I think we're going to force our own hand in a way that there'll come a time, probably not in our lifetimes, but in the near future-ish, that humankind either has to make a reach for the stars and it'll band humankind together and we'll use all our resources to get up and away, or we'll all kill each other and thin the herd back down to a small number, and then the earth will be able to rebuild itself. That's my theory.
Like either way, the earth is going to be okay. Like we're not gonna tear this thing down.
Yeah,
like so
Earth is bigger than us.
Yeah, for real. Like the way I look at Earth is like a body, like a human body, and you know, I'm a humanist. Like I do love humanity no matter what your race or political view is. But at the same time, I do kind of see us like as a virus. Our behavior right now is like a virus on this planet. But I do feel like Earth is always going to find a way to correct itself. Whether that means that we get that freaking pee-pee slap that we need, right? We kind of self-destruct and freaking go back down and dwindle our numbers, and the Earth gets to freaking breathe again, kind of like that COVID, you know, when nations were reporting that their air was clean and all this other stuff, and dolphins came back, whatever, right? It's either going to be that way, or we're going to have to go outside of ourselves, somewhere way far out.
Exactly.
But we got to make that decision now.
The Elon Musk strat for sure, bro.
Facts. We got to make that decision right now. But the thing is that, you know, we created this thing back when we didn't know much. And that's the bitch about humanity sometimes, bro. It's like sometimes we just make decisions without like no plan. Like we just do things.
Right.
And like we're not thinking, we're not moving. Like
we chase the dream, but don't think about the consequence, right? We, especially inventors and stuff like that, they're thinking to themselves, how great would it be if I could create a vehicle that's faster than a horse, that takes people everywhere and is safer, and on top of that can go everywhere. Yeah. They're not thinking, oh, well, maybe it'll destroy the planet in 200 years after its creation, right? Right. That's not what they're thinking. They were thinking all the good that it would do for humankind.
Cause who would have guessed that oil was finite back then?
True. They were just sticking poles in the ground and thinking that it was endless.
All you was just like some dude out in the field poking holes in the earth and being like, oh shit, I'm all of a sudden a freaking multimillionaire. Back in the day when there was just horses, son. Yeah. You were a damn near billionaire in today's society. You know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of like the bitch about it is that would we do anything any different? Like, would we?
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
And what are we doing right now? Are we thinking about the consequences of going green? Does that make it? There's of course going to be some consequences. What are they? What are they?
Has to be.
Right? Or what are the consequences that we're thinking of now of sitting in our ways?
Has to be.
We're thinking, oh, we got to find a solution, when instead we should be thinking, what can we do to solve the problem, right? Because a solution, that'd be great. Someone comes up with a chemical formula that we can crop dust the air with that gets rid of all the pollutants on the planet, right? Dope. How and when is that going to hurt us? Right? Does it mutate all of our children? What's going to happen? We are going to walk around with an extra appendage. Like, what's going on?
Got a penis growing out of my esophagus right here.
Exactly.
Bro, because, everything has an equal and opposite reaction, bro. That's a crazy thing about the earth. It's just kind of like, no matter what you do, earth wins. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just have this idea that we can all of a sudden cheat the system or something like that, right? All of a sudden there's a virus, and all of a sudden we're like, oh, we're gonna find a way to battle it like it's a freaking person, bro. This thing is a virus. It's been here before you. It will be here after you. Where did we think that a couple of people sitting in a room is gonna figure this thing out? You're not. The whole thing is this. I just feel like, there's things that we can do, quote unquote, but we also just need to like figure out how to just kind of like live not beyond the means. Right. You know what I'm saying? I feel like if you're really about that climate change shit, you need to really dig deep and figure out what the real problem is. The real problem is we all want more. And I'm guilty too. Like, when I say this, I'm not one of those people. I do want more. I'd be lying if I said, oh, I don't want this car or that car. I'm not looking at a big house. Like, damn, how would that be like? You know what I'm saying? But I also need to make the decision whether I'm going to give in to that caveman mentality and screw everybody over, or I'm going to be like, nah, I'm cool on that. I'm cool on that. I'm good.
Yeah. And there's a couple of different groups that have like a similar mentality. I know minimalists, they're big on that. Small house, nice things, but only what you need, but nice, so they'll last. I think stuff like that is really important for us because, we're coming to a time in a day and age where nothing really matters that much anymore. I mean, frick, it matters how much money you've got. How much money you've got, how much you can spend. That's your influence. Right now. Tomorrow. Not tomorrow, right now.
Screw tomorrow. Just me right now. Exactly. Was good. So I feel like for me, climate change is more than what we're actually doing outside. Like, it is. But climate change actually is more of a philosophy for me. When I look at climate change, I kind of feel like it's something that has to do inside. Like the decision that you're going to make in life. Like, are you going to want to live behind your means, beyond your means? Or are you going to want to have it all and leave nothing behind? And then in the midst of having it all, make somebody else want to have it all.
Right. Just a vicious circle, right? Right. Because you're out there living beyond your means and flaunting it around to everybody, right? And then immediately people are like, oh man, he's so cool. Wish I had his nice car and his nice house. When in reality, you're stressed every single day trying to keep up with bills and keep up appearances. And all it's doing is hurting you and the planet.
Right. So I think that if I had to boil it down, Climate change really has to do with not necessarily going out and preaching the word. That's not what it's about, right? Live that shit, right? Okay. No one's perfect. When it comes to climate change, no one's going to be perfect. If you've ever seen a freaking light bulb, you are not perfect. Okay, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You drive a car, you got to get to work. Be a realist, and I get it. But realistically, it has to do with living beyond the means. I kind of feel like it's bigger than just climate change. I feel like it's just something that
it's a societal thing. Like in America, the American dream is stated as being able to achieve what you want, right? But now the American dream has turned to, I want to be bigger and better, right? The American dream now is something like, oh, I've got to have the biggest house, the nicest car, the most Instagram followers.
It went from a house and a white picket fence to all the fences. I want all the cars,
all the houses,
you know
the whole subdivision.
Yo, bro, I want to own the suburb.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So, and then it comes down to greed. You know what I'm saying? But we all have it in us. It's up to us to realize, yo, hey, we got to chill. We got to chill. And I know that's not a cool message, right?
Yeah.
A way cooler message is I drive a Tesla, but I also like have a private jet. Like that is the new woke. Freaking climate change ism, right?
I
like,
drive a Tesla on autopilot.
I have a Tesla, so I'm doing something. But yet again, I go on trips constantly every year to Europe or what have you. And you know what I'm saying? I'm doing all these things. I'm living beyond my means, but I also do this and I make these posts every now and then and donate every now and then. But then there's the real ones that are actually behind the scenes, not living beyond their means and making an actual difference in the world. And I feel like everybody's got to make that decision, especially now. Like, I just kind of feel like people really need to make that decision now, including myself. Like, I'm not on a moral high horse by any means when I say that, you know what I'm saying? Like, where we record this is where I live. Like, I don't know. Like, I could literally gently throw a freaking ball and it hits the other side of where I live. I'm a very minimalistic person, but I don't use that as a moral high horse to say, like, you gotta live like me.
I've got a small house, and if you've got anything bigger than what you need or bigger than mine, then you're trash.
Because it's really not about that. Because then now we're propagating or whatever.
Right.
Like, we're making it a bigger
and we're not
issue.
focusing on the issue. We're focusing on arguing,
right.
which is just dumb.
Right. So climate change comes down to personal responsibility. And ultimately, what we do right now is really what is going to be the change.
And I think that the biggest thing that illustrates your point, and I think you're making great points, by the way.
Thank you.
The biggest thing that illustrates your point, and I'd never even thought about this. Homeless people and people in third world countries are doing more for climate change than any of us.
Yes.
They're living outside without electricity and running water and all that other stuff. They're doing so much more than the rest of us, even if we're the most woke on the planet. You know what I'm saying?
So boom, thank a homeless person.
Yes, sir.
Doing a survey around the country on the way population handles themselves and speaks and deals with their friends and interact with their peers.